What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a Thursday edition of Propping Up on Gold Boys Network. I'm GriffyBets, joined as always by WallaBets here. Brought to you by both Pickett and Boom Fantasy. So thanks to both of them. Pickett finding the best prices. Boom Fantasy, daily fantasy sports. Can find some bet on different player lines and combine them, and they offer some long shots too, which is very unique for people who can't access FanDuel's alternate lines. So thanks to Pickett and Boom for making the show possible. We did not do yesterday's show, which worked out. There's only 2 games. This tonight looks far more inviting. So how you doing, Wal?
All right. Hoping to have a better night tonight. I think last time we got together and had the show was a good night, and then had a couple down nights on some rough missing by one shot and stuff. Lots of volume blocks and things like that. So just gonna stick with it, because that's, you get into those little funks and then things start breaking your way. So
I know last night I was kicking myself because everybody on Dallas looked so good. And for a while, I was like, maybe I just need to either do their team shots or do Gustafsson saves because it's tied into the same belief. And instead, I double dipped on 2 losers. So I guess I'm the loser in that scenario.
yeah,
So
I
I
mean,
yeah,
I did the same. I was on Robertson. I know you were on Robertson, and you know, I I hate that loss, but he shot a lot. Um, the Wild blocked like 16 shots, so I had I had Marchment 3+ alt line, half a unit on that, and he ended with 2, and he had some shots blocked there. So what are you gonna do? Was following the volume. Just that was the Wild. They were just out there. They let up a ton of shots and goals and still were blocking a ton. If they didn't block those, imagine score would have been even crazier.
for sure. Why don't we not waste any time because I think there's a lot that looks good in almost every game here. So let's just jump right in. First one should be a great one. Rematch, first meeting between the Stanley Cup Finals, Colorado Tampa. I think both sides look pretty solid for shots. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some goals here as well. What is sticking out to you the most in this one?
uh, One of the first plays I liked has been one that you've been liking a lot lately. It's kind of like a you know revitalization here. It was a guy last season where his over 2.5 shot on goal line was, could be a parlay piece most nights. Hedman was quiet for a lot this season. He's picked it up lately, has some nice volume, came back from the break with huge volume. Um, yeah, he's looking good. He has nice numbers from last season against Colorado, especially at home, where he went 4 for 4 against them last season. And I know that some of that's playoff data, but I kind of feel like, the rematch is going to kind of be intense anyway. So, um, kind of a similar feel. I'm liking Hedman. He's just looked good lately. Colorado on the road this season has been a team we've targeted, and with defensemen as well. So Hedman's just fired up. He was at -112 on Barstool when I saw it, and at -125 on some other books. So a little bit of a better price there. I saw that on Pickett. Um, that was one of the first plays I was liking today.
Yeah, I like him too. He actually moved back reasonably to a -115 on FanDuel as well. It's the price I'm seeing right now. Yeah, and Avalanche, pretty good target for defensemen. I mean, we didn't have a show that day, but I was on Letang on Tuesday. He had 5 against Colorado, and they just seemed to let a pretty steady stream of shots at defensemen. Yeah, I did Hedman, and I've done him twice already this week. He's been kind of like my best friend. And I don't know if this is accurate. I almost feel like we need to talk to the Cash team, but I'm seeing Hedman had 17 attempts last game against the Sharks on here. I'm a little hesitant to believe that because that's a ridiculous amount of attempts. I mean, I remember hearing his name a ton. That still seems a little high. Um, Maybe it's
Yeah, I
accurate.
mean, he's firing away regardless. And those defensemen, you know how they can just start chucking shots at net, just get hoping for a rebound and stuff like that. But yeah, it's I believe it too against Sharks, right? Sharks have
Yeah,
been yeah, Sharks have been um good
great
target lately for
defenseman target.
shots. They I was surprised because earlier on in the season maybe they weren't a top target for a lot of stuff for shots, but lately they certainly have been giving up shots. So yeah, he had a big game there, and I think he can follow it up here at home. Looks good.
Yeah, I did a half unit again only because I've done a half unit on him twice already this week, so I just feel like I don't want to mix it up now. But I'm that is not a gauge of my confidence level. I like him a lot tonight. On the other side, I think the first bet I put in was Nathan McKinnon's shots. I definitely like Colorado for shots as well. Super simple stuff here. His line is 4.5, incredibly reasonable odds, -115 was the best I saw. He has 6+ in 4 straight against Tampa, and he has 7+ in 5 of his last 6 on the road. And here I am, just 1 in 5. So I find that it to be a reasonable request for what we're seeing lately. And volume is insane.
Yeah, it's been nice on the road, which is
Nice
usually
little,
we've talked about him at home. So yeah, thinking back earlier on or last season was him at home, but man, on the road lately he is just blowing by this line.
yeah, not a bad ladder candidate. Assuming we get lines, I would expect them for a game like this, but betting him to get 6 shots isn't the worst thing I've ever seen. I mean, his last 4 against Tampa in the last 4 games, Stanley Cup, 6, 8, 6, 7, and he's averaging 11.3, 11.4 attempts per game his last 5 on the road. Not sure what more you could ask for. So he was my favorite on Colorado.
Yeah, for sure. That can't really argue against how he's been looking in these road games. It's just hilarious how far he's blown by this line. But yeah, I think that if you're looking on that side, that's got to be the guy you're going to right now. The volume is really nice.
And I don't know how often you explore on props.cash. You can kind of just go down and see how players have done against a team lately. When you look at the forwards against Tampa, this is their 3rd game this week. Timo went over with 5 on Tuesday, and Monday, all the studs, Kachuk had 6 shots, Verhage had 5, Reinhard Bennett had 4, and you even look back before break, and all the Kings studs went over too, and that goes on and on. So McKinnon certainly falls into that stud bucket.
hmm I agree. And I mean, I know Tampa, we got used to them being a lot of power play opportunities, and I know sometimes even when those numbers dip, it just feels like in specific matchups. Like this one, I can just see it. I could see there being power play chances in this one, and that's McKinnon just needs one or two to get off a bunch of shots a lot of the time. So I don't even hate just looking at some of those angles here. I think it's going to help out a lot for these guys' shots.
The only other bet I have in right now on the Colorado end, I parlayed it with someone in Edmonton, but I like Cale Makar to get a point tonight. It's kind of a narrative based play for myself, but I had Makar and Hyman. Both did not get a point last game, and I paired them with 2 guys who did. So now I'm pairing them together in a second chance parlay in 2 spots I like. But uh, I do see a power play edge for Colorado, which kind of just got it on my radar. And Makar's certainly involved on that top power play. And he's got 11 points in his last 9 games. He had 7 in the Stanley Cup Finals against Tampa. So, I mean, Cale McCarr, he's usually involved, and after not getting a point for me last game, I'm giving him a chance to come back here.
Yeah, yeah. I don't hate that. I mean, you've said it before, as he's up there at 1.5 points a lot. So, um, when he's down at a half a point, especially if it's in a spot you like, uh, that's something you're going to jump on. So I don't hate that one. I think there's going to be some goals here for sure.
Should we keep it moving? I mean, I'm sure Kucherov's going to hit his shots, but I'm not trusting him right now.
That was just unreal. I can't believe that. 0 for 3, yeah, on his last game. Don't like that guy right now.
All right. Well, that should be a fun one to watch. Excited for that one. Next game, Edmonton, Philly. Another one that I think there's merit to both sides here. I think, yeah, we talked about it, how I was looking at Dallas maybe for team shots because everyone looked good. I'm going with Philly team shots, and I don't think I've ever done this market before. So I'm betting them to get over 31.5, which is on Barstool, Bet Rivers, those type of books. The main reason was that I actually didn't like any of those individual lines, both because of the odds and I don't know, just poking around. Nothing was really sticking out, but Philly averaging over 34 at home in their last 10, Edmonton allowing 32.5. And shockingly, when you looked at the history between these two teams, Philly was averaging over 39 shots per game in their last 5 against Edmonton. So I'm going to experiment with them to get 32 shots tonight. Just sort of lines up, and I wasn't loving any of the players that much. So I'll just root for the whole team.
Yeah, that's a nice number there. That what they've done in this matchup in the past, it's interesting, and I'm interested to see how that market goes because yeah, like you said, there are a lot of nights where you like the team and you think that they're going to shoot a lot, and then you try to find a guy and he might not come through, and you just see everybody else shooting. So that can uh that can hurt a bit. So if you like the team shots angle, it's not bad. I think the only one who looked kind of interesting to me was Tippett, maybe at -130. He's been getting some shots on goal. His volume is never really that crazy. Um, this season, I think it doesn't really ever go too high, but these last 3 games, he's had 7, 4, 6 attempts and 3, 4, 4 shots on goal. Maybe look there. I think he had 4 the last time he played Edmonton, but -130 is I would like better for Tippett probably because of the volume.
Yeah, his only game against Edmonton, 4 shots, a goal, and an assist.
There
So
you
he's basically automatic against the Oilers.
go.
That looks solid. I mean, Kevin Hayes will probably bounce back. His volume is still really steady, especially at home. But -165, I'm trying to not have too many two-leggers out there.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, this is juice to me. It goes against what I just said. I am doing Connor McDavid in a two-legger. His shots at 3.5 just seems really solid here. He's averaging 6.2 shots on goal per game in his last 5 on the road, and last 2 games against Philly, he's got 9 and 7 shots, and they're a great center target. So I'm just keeping it simple and loading up McDavid, especially coming off a down game with 3 shots.
Yeah, he had a
Super
goal
simple.
too in each of those games. Where I
Oh
mean,
yeah, he loves scoring against Philly. If you go back a couple years,
yeah. So it's really juiced though, -130 for him to score. Um, makes sense. He scores all the time, but those shot numbers are pretty crazy. Looking at that 9 and 7 in the last 2 meetings, so I wonder if they'll give an alt line for him today. I think you would if you're making an alt parlay or don't want to do the juice or whatever on McDavid. He's had huge games, so I wonder if they'll even give that out today. They haven't been giving out alts for like every game, it seems like.
And something like a McDavid, McKinnon each to get 6 could be a fun little pairing.
Yeah, that's not bad.
And then, as I mentioned, I'm giving Hyman a chance here after he didn't get in on the 5-goal fun they had at Detroit the other night. Even though he didn't get a point last game, he still has 16 in his last 8. Just heavily involved, has a point in 2 straight against Philly. So paired him with Makar, because I certainly expect. I mean, the Oilers look pretty awesome for goals here, just at a high level. Philly's allowing 3.7 at home last 10, and Edmonton's scoring 4.7 on the road. Just super simple. I bet they score. So I'll give Hyman a chance to get involved again.
Yeah, he's been producing pretty consistently, so this looks like a good spot for Edmonton to get some damage done. He's, like you said, point in both meetings, so that looks good to me. McDavid's
Anything
the one that
else?
really just jumps out in this game. Those numbers are crazy. He's been consistent this year, so solid look for him today.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the odds would be, but if you like doing some alternate team totals or maybe even just looking, I think Edmonton's team total is a fine look today. They certainly score against Philly. If you look back on, yeah, very juiced. I mean, to get 3 goals is minus 335, so you'd have to pair that with a couple of things, but
Wow.
that seems like one of the safer parlay legs today if you like going that route.
Yeah, I think that's the main stuff for me in this game, though.
All right, next game should be another fun one. San Jose, Florida. Barkov is out, but I don't know. I mean, I'm expecting a lot of goals here. I went to bed thinking about Florida pummeling San Jose, and it hasn't really changed even with Barkov out. So,
Yeah,
how are you approaching this? Do you have anything in you?
I mean, just like what I was saying before, San Jose is just they're just looking worse and worse. I think that you can look at a lot of guys in this game. I'm interested to see exactly. I don't know if they've announced it, what the lines are um, for Florida with Barkov out, just to see
Let
if
me
anything
check.
gets shuffled around because what Verhage, he's been shooting a lot lately, and he's at that 3.5 line at plus money. But I wouldn't, just if they mix up the chemistry and stuff, Verhage's usually at a 2.5 line. So him getting bumped up this game, I if they mix stuff up, I maybe that would make me a little less comfortable. But he looks good with his volume and how he's been hitting that 3.5 line lately at plus money against San Jose. It's definitely tempting.
So it looks like the Verhage Bennett Kachuk line is going to stay unchanged. And they're just bumping up Lusterinen into Barkov's
Listerine.
spot in between Reinhardt and Lundell. So
Interesting.
that's good to know because I mean I thought Kachuk and Verhage looked awesome too. So as long
Hmm.
as the line is unchanged, Barkov's absence shouldn't impact them that much. Maybe on the power play, but which I do. I like them to score on the power play here as well. But that's good to know. I thought Kachuk's points looked awesome. I don't know if those caught your eye at all.
Yeah, 1.5. I mean, he's been great on home ice at that line all season. 64% hit rate, minus 112 to do it, but he's on a little run now anyway. He's just racking up points. I mean, it's funny.
He's got 8.
Yeah,
Sorry.
he went off at the All-Star game, and then with all the points and stuff, and then just came out of the break against Tampa Bay and looked like he was still just playing in that All-Star game. Just 5 points.
I know that was crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's got 8 points in his last 3 against the Sharks. His 1.5 points line is pretty reasonable, minus 112, minus 110. He's hitting 4 straight, 3 straight at home. And
Yes,
yeah,
he did
burden
that
probably
in
is going
San
to fall.
Jose. Hmm. He has the experience against them from Calgary, so nice to see that he carried over his new team and had a nice game against the Sharks last time they met. So I like that, especially with the his home numbers.
I did Ekblad shots with McDavid shots, which came in at plus 182 on DraftKings. Is the best price that I saw for that combo. Sharks letting up fourth most of defensemen the last 10 games, and Ekblad's just been rolling 7.2 attempts in his last 5, over in all 5 of those games, and over in 2 straight against San Jose. So he's been another kind of like Hedman that has been very friendly to me lately. So I really like him with McDavid. I only did a half unit, but I kind of want to bump that up to a full unit as I just vocalized why I like him.
Yeah, I like that pairing a lot. Ekblad looks really good to me today. I want to play him in some way, and his shots are a little juiced for me, so that's definitely not a bad look in my opinion. I actually might look what it would be to have Ekblad's shots and then Kachuk to get an assist, because that's at minus 200, and his points look awesome too. Um, just a lot of them are assists, and he's got a lot of assists against San Jose. All 3 of his points were assists last time they faced off. So I might, after this, go and check out what a little same game parlay is of Ekblad shots and Kachuk to get an assist. I think that's a nice little look in this matchup with the shots they give the defensemen, and I mean they're just giving up goals, and Kachuk at home has been amazing. So that stands out to me there.
Yeah, I like that. I don't hate the over here as is. It was 7 for a while, but once Barkov was announced out, it seemed to move back down to 6.5, although it's at minus 135. Because I think obviously I love Florida to score, but I think San Jose can chip in a couple here too. On the road, Sharks are averaging 3.5 in their last 10. Florida's allowing 3.2 at home. And this is when I could see both teams scoring on the power
Oh my
play.
God.
What did you find?
Timo's plus 225 for a power play point, and he has one in his
I,
last 2 against Florida.
yeah, that was something that when I looked at Sharks versus Panthers last couple of years, the Sharks have scored a power play goal in 5 straight against Florida. And San Jose's power play isn't amazing, but it's fine. Like it's about average. And Florida's actually leading the NHL in power play opportunities allowed last 10. And their penalty kill hasn't been great. It's
Yeah, he's
interesting.
at plus 115 for a goal, which he's been hitting more often lately. But if I'm looking at this matchup, uh, that was my first thought was like, oh, Timo might be good in this matchup because of power play stuff. So seeing plus 225 is pretty tempting there in this spot. He had 2 power play points against Tampa last game, which we're talking about how Tampa can in the past has been a target for power play stuff in certain matchups. So that's a nice price there. It's hard to, I don't know, might end up putting half a unit on that one.
Whoa. I think the better play might be Barstool's got over 1.5 power play goals in this game at plus 130. I I mean, and they, wow. I mean, I guess they're factoring that Barkov is that important to the power play, because even Florida is only minus 114 for a power play goal. And when I was putting together the numbers, that really stood out to me.
Hmm.
Huh. I already did. I moved the over down to 5.5, and I paired it with Calgary to score 3 times, just because these teams always get to 6, and 10 games without Barkov this year, Florida has always gotten to 6 at least. So I just really liked the 6 number, but I mean, I think the over could hit, and I think the power play could be a big reason why. So that's a pretty interesting price there.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, I think there's a couple good angles here. I'm getting more interested in the Timo one too, just because Carlson, he's probably was with the Timo point because he had a power play goal uh last time they played Florida. Carlson had one, and he's getting some points lately. Uh, has a goal in back-to-back games, so maybe they're clicking right now. I think I want to jump on that power play point because Carlson's at 170. Just doesn't make sense to me that Timo would be a better price. I
Yeah,
like that.
I just looked in 10 games without Barkov this year. Florida scored on the 8 power play goals, and just looking at Barkov, obviously very talented player, but wasn't racking up that many points on the power play himself. I mean, points on everything, just being out there can help make a team more effective. But I'd be interested what the top power play, who's going to take his spot. Looks like it's Reinhardt or Bennett.
Yeah,
I can't
Reinhardt and
remember.
Montour have been
Ben,
Reinhardt
ben,
kind of dropped off a bit, but they were doing pretty well on the power play for a little run there. So uh, wouldn't be surprised if one of them was involved.
I'm going to have to do this over 1.5 power play goals. It's one of those things I don't know why I'm putting together these numbers if I'm not listening to them when they smack me in the face. So I'll be adding that one at plus 130 on Barstool.
Okay, I will
And
be
I
hoping
like
that
the team up.
Timo does it. So that's what I'm gonna end up doing. I'm gonna put half a unit on Timo's power play point.
Yeah, I like that. All right, let's keep it moving. Seattle, New Jersey. Jack Hughes is out. It's been deemed week to week. So it'll be interesting. And I could be wrong, but I was trying to run some stat news searches for how these guys have done without Jack Hughes. And it seems like Jack Hughes has never missed a game because Stat News was very confused with my searches, which is a bummer. I might stay off this game. I liked the Devils for shots because they just shoot so much. So even though Seattle's a little stingy, I'm like, okay. But Jack Hughes is a massive reason why that number is so high. So Nico Heischer's great at home. I thought Jesper Bratt looked a little interesting, but I think I'm just going to stay off this game.
I know. I'm like, it's tough. I know AO messaged me earlier and had mentioned that Barstool had he share at plus 100 for his shots. I'm seeing like close to minus 130 on some other places. So I always get a little nervous anyway when Barstool's putting a plus on a play and everywhere else is minus. I think I've lost almost every single one of those plays, including he share earlier this year. So I mean, I imagine he's got to step up, but he's played Seattle 3 times. He's gone under in each game. He's on this incredible home, run at home with his shots. But I mean, I figure at some point there's going to be an under game in there. I don't know. I'm a little nervous today about this game, but I could just be an idiot. And he shares just like, come on, man, I'm on home ice, and just fires off a million shots. So the trend is there. I just I don't know. Wasn't calling me today.
No, I'm with you. It's just not really an ideal when there's so many beautiful spots today. Do I need to target Seattle for shots? I think no. Maybe he should just never goes under at home ever again. I know some people are on him, and I'm rooting for him, but
Well, yeah, I mean, I played Hubie every single game at home last season, pretty much, Huberto, when he was on Florida. So, I mean, really, I've done it. Yeah, I even played him in matchups that didn't stand out to me, and it's still a reasonable price. And he went 3 for 6 last game, so he still had some volume. I mean, there was a couple shots that were initially credited to him and then taken away. So I thought he was going to even have a bigger game last game, but I don't know. Something's making me nervous, and it's probably for no reason. But what can you do? I gotta trust my gut, I guess.
yeah, definitely. One thing that I gave some thought to was On paper, Seattle seems like a solid bet to find some goals. New Jersey's been a little looser, allowing them at home with 3.2 allowed in their last 10. And we know how great Seattle's been on the road. I'm a little worried about their shutout loss to start the week because a lot of people certainly seem to think the Kraken are overperforming compared to what they actually have. So maybe they're in for a crash to earth. But on paper, they seemed interested. They seemed okay for goals. And Vince Dunn point looked interesting to me. He's one of the top defensemen on Seattle on the road. He's got 11 points in his last 8 games, and he's got a point in all 3 games against the Devils since Seattle was formed. And he's even money for a point. I wrote that down, and then I think I'm going to chicken out. So he'll probably get a couple points tonight.
New Jersey, but going into the break, they were letting up more shots, and weren't they letting up some of the defensemen? Because Dunn hit 4 shots against them last time they met, and he's been hitting his 1.5 line, which is -145. He's been hitting that pretty consistently in recent games, and then if you switch to the road, his last 3 road games, 4-3-2. That some volume there. Him and Eli Tolvanen, he's been cruising over his 1.5 line, 5-3-3-3, and so some interesting shot looks there on that side.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I've seen New Jersey 6th most to defensemen last 10 games. It's an interesting look.
Wonder if they'll give Alts for that. He's landed on two times in his last 10 games, but he's had a couple 4-shot games in there and 3 games with 3 shots. So interesting. I mean, Devils for the season numbers, shots on goal out are low, but they definitely had been loosening up a bit, and who knows what chemistry or change. I mean, just Hughes being out, who knows what could happen there. Maybe they get a little looser. I don't know. Just something to think about. There's a couple of guys in Seattle with that 1.5 line that are just blowing by it.
Yeah, I do like your logic. I mean, last 10 games, regardless of location, Devils are allowing 33.2. Seems to put them right around the top 10, top 12.
Jaden Schwartz, he had 2 shots against the Devils. He's been 7 of his last 10. Yeah, I think that's just it could be something interesting there, especially if the alts come out. Tolvanen's where uh, just look at his chart. It's the volume's creeping up there, and he's getting a lot of 3-shot games and stuff. So that could be an interesting look if they give him a 3-shot line.
Yeah, it wasn't something on my radar, but that's a good flag. Yeah, I mean, Tolvanen looks awesome.
He's a right wing though, not a defenseman. Dunn was the defenseman angle, but I just wanted to point out Tolvanen's volume. Yeah,
I like it. Good flag. All right, let's move to Calgary, Detroit. I think my initial approach here is at this point, I don't care who Calgary is playing. They're just shooting the puck so much. So on paper, Detroit looks a little tighter to home, but I don't care. Calgary's averaging about 39 shots per game on the road. I think we're both on Blake Coleman, if I'm not mistaken. Did you put him in, or are you still thinking about him?
No, I played him. This one's just any other guy who had this volume, I don't think would be -110, -113. It just seems like they're being delayed on bumping up his price a bit here. His volume is just awesome. He's been over his last 10, his last 5 games, 8 attempts, 7 attempts, 5 attempts, 8 attempts, 7 attempts. He's getting 5 shots on goal in back-to-back games. He has nice history against Detroit, if that's something you like looking into. His last road games have been awesome. 6 of his last 7 road games, and 5 of those hits were 4 or more shots, 3 of them with 5 shots. I mean, I just don't think most players would be priced at this line with that volume. So I'm going to play it.
Yeah, I think we got him at minus 110 earlier. It looks like he's creeping closer to minus 115, minus 120 now. But yeah, I have nothing else to add to what you just said. That summed it up. He looks awesome. He's been a friend of the program for a couple weeks now. It's been really
Yeah,
awesome.
to Foley, he's a little bit more consistent with the hit rate on his line. He's at minus 142, and he's got lower volume um, in some recent games than Coleman has. Granted, Foley's pretty good with his shots, going 3 for 4 and stuff like that. But it's just showing you. Foley's shooting a lot and hitting his line, and Coleman is hitting his line almost as much lately with some volume that's similar, if not better, and much better line. So
Yeah, I mean, I like Toffoli's shots too. It's one of the few names I have written down that I have not constructed a play for. I mean,
he's on fire, man.
yeah, there's not much to say. You probably have to pair him with something. I mean, maybe you're comfortable betting, minus 142 straight. He's hitting 2 straight against Detroit. Pretty automatic at the moment. So
Yeah, feels like
I
it.
think that's a fine look. I think I mentioned earlier I'm doing Calgary to get to 3 goals paired with Florida San Jose going over 5.5. I just saw, I think Calgary scored 3 or more in 6 straight against Detroit. Huso has just not been scaring me the last couple weeks, and just the averages seem to align to get them to at least 3 goals. So I like them as a parlay partner with that alternate over in Florida. Because I was looking at some points, and it's similar to what I said about Dallas and shots yesterday. I thought a lot of guys looked really good for points. So let's just hope they score some goals. I don't need to care who is involved.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I only have officially played Coleman in this one, but definitely a lot of good looks, I think, in this matchup for points, like you said. Um, Huso's kind of just completely switched from earlier in the season, so I like that look.
Wow, I was about to. So I thought Markstrom was going to be in net. Looks like it's later. I don't know if that's how you say it. I was going to say I thought Detroit looked okay for goals because Markstrom has really been struggling last couple games, but forget it. Forget that he is not playing tonight. Um, that's about all. I'm not looking Detroit's way for shots here. I imagine you're not either.
Nah, Larkin got bumped up last game. He has really nice volume. He's been hitting his line, but I Calgary's not a spot that I would want to target.
So Vancouver Islanders. Do you have any other plays besides the one I know we're both on? Because if not, maybe we come back to this game as the pick it play of the day.
Yeah, we could just come back to it.
Okay.
Um,
Hold tight there. And then we jump to Vegas, Minnesota. We've been on the same page a lot this morning, and I know we both locked in Jack Eichel shots at plus 125. I found to be a crazy price.
mhm.
So much better on the road. He's averaging 4.6 shots per game in his last 10 on the road, 5 and 7 in his last 2. I think he's over against Minnesota in 5 straight. And I think he's averaged like 5.6 shots per game in those 5 games. He loves Minnesota. They got their penalty issues, and he leads the power play. The price makes no sense. I think it's just because of the overall hit rate you see, but just different on the road. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, volume much better. Even if you just look at his overall chart for attempts, it's getting nicer. Recently, I I love the power play angle. It was the same reason why I liked Robertson yesterday, and as much as that one hurt, I still thought it was a good play. I mean, just got blocked a lot. I'm hoping that on a back to back, maybe the Wild players don't want to get hit 16 times again. I don't know, just I don't know. That was impressive, and there's still a lot of shots from Dallas in that game, even with those blocked ones. So a lot of opportunity. I mean, Wild in that game back against Arizona gave up 34 shots or something. So they
Yeah,
were
they've been
tight.
letting up
They
a
were
good
tight to
amount.
shots, but um, yeah, look out of the break. They're giving them up. So I'm fine with going back to targeting them. And Eichel's definitely the guy on the road for Vegas. Uh, I think he can get the attempts. Just gotta hope that five of them don't get blocked.
Yeah, I think Eichel's such a fascinating one, and why I love Props.cash so much by using the home and away splits, because you can just really visualize. I know you can't see my screen right now, but when you put Eichel to home, he's over 3.5 shots in two of his last 10, and he averages 4.3 attempts per game. And then you switch that to the road, and he's over in 7 of 10 and averages 7.6 in that span. It's just such a crazy difference. And just got to follow it at this price,
You could
especially.
combine
And
him and Heishier into one player, you would have a 100% hit rate like all year. That guy loves home and Eichel loves away. So it's funny. It's funny seeing those things.
I didn't really look at anybody else in this game, to be honest. I saw Eichel. I mean, in my head before I even jumped into, I already knew Eichel was on my short list, and then it was confirmed pretty quickly, and then I just stopped looking at anything else. Did Did you look at anything else here?
Um, I wanted the same kind of thing. I wanted to play him uh since I saw just what happened to me with Robertson last night. I still felt confident about it. So that was right, just what I went to. Didn't really dig into much more besides that. Um, Boldy finally went under in a game after he's been cruising for a while. Uh, I don't know if I would go to him in this spot, but Eichel is pretty much the one that I think jumps out the most in this matchup.
Agreed. All right. Why don't we transition to best bets? We will summarize some of our favorites, and then we'll talk about
Hold on,
the
somebody in the
games.
chat. No, I was making a joke. Nobody has a 100% hit rate. I was saying Nico Hischier goes under on the road all the time and hits at home a majority of the time, and then Eichel's always hitting on the road. So I was just joking, saying if only we can combine them into one player who just always hits his line. So yeah, that was just a joke. No player has 100% hit rate.
Man, even sorry, just looking at Eichel's last season too on the road. He ended last year going over on the road in what looks like, oh, I don't know, 15 straight games. I don't know if he just hates the Vegas fans or he gets too hammered when he's in Vegas, but once he's away from temptation, he locks in. It's a very interesting trend. And at plus 125, we might as well follow it.
Yeah, I like it.
All right. So why don't we summarize some of our favorite looks? I know we're saving one of our favorites, so we'll get to that. But before that, um, my favorite is probably McKinnon's shots. I really like that price with what he's been doing. And um, I like the McDavid Ekblad combo a ton. I might have to bump that up to a full unit. I mean, I think I bet like 8 or 9 things already, so I could go on, but those are probably some that really stand out to me. I
Yeah.
like the so I like Philly over 31.5 shots. I'm excited to test out that market tonight and just hope to keep seeing that number go up and not care who it is that's doing it.
Yep. Yeah. For me, one we just talked about, Eichel, like that one a lot. Hedman shots.
Yep.
I'm liking the price on him because it's looking like, what we're more accustomed to with him shooting. And then Coleman, I again just for his volume, it just seems like other players who would be doing that would be priced much worse. So I'm liking Coleman a lot today. And then the one that I think I'm going to add I am gonna add, we kind of jumped on it in that one game, Timo power play point. I like to mix in power play points into my plays in these certain matchups, and at 225 against Florida, who just is giving out so many opportunities. I got to put half a unit on that for my guy Timo. He loves to get stuff done on the power play.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good. I do like the over 1.5 power play goals in that one too. I'm gonna have to bet. Yeah, looks like a good night. All right, Pickett play of the day. If you're on Pickett, I would be surprised if you haven't seen this guy's name in your feed yet. But it's Bo Horvat, very quick turnaround on a revenge game, having just getting shipped out of Vancouver to the Islanders, and in what certainly didn't seem like a pleasant exchange between player and club. So I think we always like that revenge angle, and Horvat's come out pretty solid for the Islanders with 6 shots and a goal in his first two. But to me, it's far more just Vancouver stinks. Like, like it's one thing to have a revenge angle against a really tough opponent, but getting to skate against your former team like a week after getting traded, and that team loves to let up shots and goals. Um, I'm expecting Horvat to come out firing here.
Yeah, and I think his line mates will be trying to get him involved and have him, have a nice game here. Uh, I know that some other revenge angles for shots earlier in the season haven't maybe panned out as much, but that was Kachuk against the Flames and Gaudreau against the Flames. The Flames is not really teams that or a team that I target anyway. And I think in their first meetings, those guys went under their shots lines. But um, Vancouver, like Griffey said, is different for me here. I think it's a really nice revenge spot. And Pickett came in clutch because that line moved. That line moved fast. When I got it, it was minus 118 on FanDuel, and that's at like minus 140. But on Pickett, right as we were getting onto the show, we saw minus 120. It was still available on MGM. So uh, I think he's gonna be trying to have a good game against his former club.
Yeah, I don't hate his goal either. I did a half unit on his goal as well. I think it was plus 160 last night. Um,
Awesome spot.
it's interesting. It's a weakness on weakness matchup where Vancouver's penalty kill has been a massive problem, but the Islanders on the power play have just been dreadful. Horvat's on that top power play line now. At some point, they're going to score more on the power play. You'd think. I mean, for a while there, they had a 0% power play scoring rate. When I look at these last 10 numbers, they finally found one a game or two ago. So if they get a couple chances, maybe Horvat scores there because it's a great opponent to fix those woes a little bit. So
Definitely.
yeah, cool. All right, it's gonna be a fun Thursday. Be even more fun if we win a ton of bets. So that's what I'm planning on. I'm glad we're on the same page with a lot of stuff. So yeah, let's have ourselves a night.
Yep. Good luck if you join in on anything or end up playing something else we touched upon on the show. Thanks for watching. It means a lot.
Yeah, see you guys.